Right now, while you are hearing my voice, a decision is being made inside your body after every single meal you eat. And if you are over 60, that decision may already be pushing your blood sugar higher, longer, and more dangerously than you realize. The frightening part is not always pain. It is not always a dramatic warning. It is the quiet wave that comes after breakfast, after lunch, after dinner, that heavy fatigue, that strange fog, that sudden need to sit down, close your eyes, and disappear for a while. What you do not feel is the real betrayal. Because while you are blaming age, a big meal, or a poor night of sleep, your pancreas may be straining. Your bloodstream may be carrying excess glucose, and your blood vessels may already be absorbing the pressure of that repeated surge. Picture the inside of your body for a moment. Sugar rising, insulin rushing, cells resisting, and the clock moving anyway. The good news is that you are hearing this now, not 6 months from now, not after a crisis, not after preventable damage has had more time to spread. I am Dr. Arthur Bennett, and by the end of this video, you will know what that after-meal feeling may really mean and exactly what to do before this gets worse. And once that pattern starts repeating day after day, the clock is no longer sitting still. It is running. Think about yesterday morning. Maybe you had toast, cereal, oatmeal with honey, a muffin, juice, or even what looked like a sensible breakfast. Then an hour later, came the familiar crash. Your eyelids heavier, your focus softer, your body asking for coffee, sugar, or a chair. That moment matters more than most people understand. Picture your digestive system at that exact time. Food has already been broken down. Glucose has moved into the bloodstream. Your pancreas, sitting quietly behind the stomach, releases insulin like a dispatcher sending urgent calls through the body. But if your cells have grown resistant over the years, something very common after 60, especially with inactivity, poor sleep, stress, extra abdominal weight, or long-standing prediabetes, that insulin signal does not land the way it used to. The glucose lingers. It circles. It stays in the blood instead of moving smoothly into muscle and other tissues where it belongs. And here is what many older adults miss. That sleepy feeling after meals is not always harmless comfort. Sometimes it is the body reacting to a blood sugar spike and the biochemical stress that follows it. Not everyone feels it the same way. For some people it is fatigue. For others it is sudden thirst, a dry mouth, blurry vision, shakiness, irritability, brain fog, or the odd feeling that they are both tired and hungry again, even though they just ate. By late afternoon, the pattern may repeat with lunch. By evening, it may show up after dinner as heaviness, restlessness, or a second wave craving for something sweet. The danger is not one meal. It is repetition, morning after morning, evening after evening. The bloodstream keeps seeing the same storm. The pancreas keeps getting the same emergency call. And the body, which is remarkably patient, will compensate for a long time before it finally starts sending louder signals. The good news is that meaningful change is still possible at this stage. But first, you need to understand what happens when this cycle keeps running longer than it should, because the next layer is where the stakes rise fast. And the longer this continues, the more serious the picture becomes, not because the body is fragile, but because it keeps adapting until adaptation turns into damage. Imagine your blood vessels in the late evening after years of repeated sugar surges. They are not plastic pipes. They are living tissue. Their inner lining is delicate, responsive, and affected by what passes through it every day. When blood sugar runs high too often, that lining begins to lose some of its flexibility and calm. Now picture the tiny vessels in your eyes, the microscopic filters in your kidneys, and the nerves that travel down into your feet. These are some of the first places where a long, silent process can leave fingerprints. At first, it may be so subtle that you dismiss it. Your vision goes soft at night when reading. A cut on your shin takes longer to heal. You wake up to urinate more often. Your feet tingle during the quiet hours after dinner when you finally sit down. You feel strangely exhausted after eating, yet wide awake at 2 in the morning. That is how the thriller unfolds in real life. Not with one dramatic scene, but with a series of everyday clues people are taught to normalize. And after 60, normalization is dangerous. Many people are told or tell themselves that slowing down after meals is simply part of getting older. But aging alone does not explain repeated post-meal crashes, relentless thirst, frequent urination, worsening fatigue, or hunger that returns too quickly after eating. Those can be signs that the body is having trouble managing glucose. Over time, uncontrolled blood sugar can also raise the risk of heart disease, stroke, nerve injury, kidney problems, and vision loss. That does not mean every nap after lunch is a crisis. It means a pattern deserves respect, especially if it is new, especially if it is happening almost every day, especially if it comes with thirst, blurred vision, infections, slow healing, tingling, or a family history of diabetes. By bedtime, the body may still be dealing with the dinner surge.
The liver may still be releasing glucose.
The bloodstream may still be carrying more sugar than your tissues can comfortably handle. And while there is still time, this is exactly the moment to stop calling it just fatigue and start seeing it as a message. Because the most important question is no longer whether you feel something after meals. It is why your body is being pushed into that pattern at all. And that hidden mechanism is the part most people never see. Coming. What happens next, if nothing changes, is driven by a mechanism so quiet that it can operate for years without a proper name ever entering the conversation. Picture your pancreas again, tucked behind the stomach, working every time you eat. In a healthy rhythm, food comes in, glucose rises, insulin is released, and the cells open the door. Muscle takes in fuel, the liver stores what is extra. Energy is distributed. The system settles. But with insulin resistance, the timing changes. The key is still there, but the lock has become stubborn. The pancreas responds by releasing more insulin to force the issue. At first, this extra effort can keep blood sugar from looking obviously disastrous. That is part of what makes it deceptive. The numbers may drift before they explode. The symptoms may whisper before they shout. Now set that mechanism inside a normal day. Breakfast at 8 o'clock. A quick carbohydrate-heavy meal because mornings are busy. By 9:30, glucose has surged. Insulin rises sharply, trying to manage the load. Some cells respond poorly. The liver, which should be helping maintain balance, may continue releasing glucose at the wrong time. By noon, you are tired, craving something easy, and likely to reach for another fast source of starch or sugar. The next wave begins before the first one fully settles. By evening, after a sedentary afternoon and a large dinner, the system is asked to perform again, only now your muscles, which are one of the biggest sinks for glucose, may not, have been used enough to help. So sugar stays circulating longer. That post-dinner sleepiness you feel in the recliner may not just be fullness. It may be a metabolic traffic jam. And inside that jam, tissues are keeping score.
The eyes,
The kidneys,
the arteries,
the nerves, even the brain, which depends on stable fuel, can react to those swings with fogginess, irritability, and mental fatigue. This is why some people feel sleepy after meals, then hungry again, then tired again, then awake at night. The system has lost its smooth curve. It is lurching. Still, this is not hopeless. The body is remarkably capable of recovery when you reduce the daily burden placed on it. Insulin sensitivity can improve. Post-meal spikes can shrink. Energy can stabilize. But that only happens when the process is interrupted on purpose. And the window for the easiest intervention is still open for many people watching this now. What I am about to share next is where the real opportunity begins. Here is where the story turns, and it turns faster than many people expect. The same body that has been struggling can start responding the moment the burden changes. Think about tomorrow morning, not as another routine breakfast, but as the first controlled experiment. Instead of guessing, you start observing. Instead of pushing through the crash, you start decoding it. If you feel washed out after every meal, the first breakthrough is not panic. It is pattern recognition. Ask yourself, when does it happen most? After breakfast, after lunch, after dinner? What did you eat just before it happened? Was it mostly bread, rice, pasta, potatoes, cereal, pastries, sweet drinks, or a large portion eaten quickly? Did you sleep poorly the night before? Were you sitting for hours before or after that meal? Picture what this kind of noticing does inside the body. It brings the invisible into view. You stop treating fatigue as random and start seeing the sequence: food, spike, slump, thirst, fog, craving, repeat. That awareness is powerful because it creates leverage. And leverage is where recovery begins. Research and clinical experience both show that even modest lifestyle shifts can improve glucose control, especially when they are timed well. Not dramatic overhauls. Timed, repeatable changes. A breakfast built around protein, fiber, and slower digesting foods can create a very different morning than one built around refined carbohydrates. A short walk after dinner can change what happens in the bloodstream for the next 2 hours. Better sleep can improve insulin sensitivity the next day. Strengthening muscle can give glucose somewhere useful to go. The more room the body has to recover before this progresses. If your after-meal symptoms are frequent, getting your blood sugar checked matters. Fasting glucose, A1C, and sometimes post-meal readings can help reveal what your body has been trying to tell you. That is not overreacting. That is acting while there is still time. Because once you see the pattern, the next step is not abstract. It is practical. It is immediate. And it starts with what you do next at the table and in the first hour after you leave it. From this point forward, time becomes your ally if you use it well. Start with the first 30 minutes after a meal, because that window matters. Picture glucose entering your bloodstream after lunch. Now, picture your muscles, especially in your legs, acting like a sink that can help absorb some of it when they are called into action. That is why one of the most effective first moves is also one of the simplest. Walk for 10 to 15 minutes after eating, especially after your largest meal. Not a power march, not punishment, just movement. A calm, steady walk down the street, through the hallway, around the house, or even in place near the kitchen, if that is what your body allows. Then look at meal order. Many people do better when they begin with protein, vegetables, or other high-fiber foods before moving into starches. That changes the speed of digestion and often softens the spike that comes next. Breakfast deserves special attention because it sets the metabolic tone for the day. If your morning meal is mostly quick carbohydrates, the 10 a.m., crash should not be surprising. Eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, nuts, beans, vegetables, or other protein and fiber combinations often create a steadier curve than toast and juice alone. At dinner, portion size matters just as much as food type. A large evening meal, followed by a chair and a television can, keep blood sugar elevated well into the night. Hydration matters too. When glucose is high, the body tries to pull more water through the kidneys, and that can leave you thirsty, tired, and waking up to urinate. And do not overlook sleep. One bad night can make the next day's glucose control worse, which means the same lunch can hit harder after poor rest than after good rest. If you already have diabetes, take those after-meal symptoms seriously and talk with your clinician about whether your meal plan, medication timing, or activity pattern needs adjustment. If you do not have diabetes but this keeps happening, do not wait months to mention it. Make the appointment. Describe the pattern clearly. I feel sleepy, weak, foggy, or unusually thirsty after meals. That sentence can open an important conversation. The body responds to early moves. It really does. But first moves are not enough by themselves. To create lasting protection, you need a system that keeps working on ordinary Tuesdays, quiet Sundays, and the nights when motivation is low. And that is where the decisive changes begin. As the days go on, what protects you most is not one perfect meal, but a structure your body can trust. Picture your week instead of one afternoon. Imagine your muscles becoming more active tissue again, not decorative tissue, but metabolic allies. Muscle helps clear glucose from the bloodstream. That means resistance training, done safely, even with light weights, resistance bands, or body weight support, can become one of the strongest long-term defenses against repeated post-meal spikes. Add consistency to that, and the whole picture changes. A steadier breakfast, a walk after dinner, fewer sugary drinks, more sleep, more muscle use, better follow-through with medications if they have been prescribed. Suddenly, the pancreas is not being ambushed as often. The bloodstream is not carrying the same relentless load. Energy starts feeling less dramatic and more dependable. Morning becomes clearer. Afternoon cravings soften. Nighttime urination may ease. The body begins to feel less like a crime scene and more like a system returning to order. This is also the moment to remove shame from the equation. Many smart, disciplined people end up with poor blood sugar control. Age changes metabolism. Muscle mass tends to decline. Activity often drops. Sleep changes. Medications and stress can interfere. What matters now is not blame. It is response. If your clinician recommends home glucose monitoring, or if you already use it, those numbers can turn mystery into information. If medication is needed, that is not failure. It is support. If you are watching this and you recognize this habit, the crash after meals, the fog after dinner, the need to lie down after lunch, the thirst that keeps showing up, type the word today in the comments. Because that word draws a line in time. It says you are not handing this another season of silence. You are acting while the body can still benefit most. And remember, lasting control is built by routines that survive real life. Travel days, holidays, busy mornings, family dinners. Protecting your blood sugar after 60 is not about perfection. It is about repeated decisions that reduce the strain your body has been carrying. The alarm does not turn off because you wish it away. It turns off because you answered it. And now we get to the part most people need to hear most. You now know something that many people will spend years misunderstanding. The wave you feel after meals is not always harmless. Sometimes it is your body asking for help in the only language it has left: timing, fatigue, thirst, fog, cravings, restless nights, small changes that keep repeating until someone finally listens. But now the tone changes because fear is not the ending here. Calm is. Your body is not your enemy in this story. It has been working around the clock to protect you, compensate for you, and buy you time. Your pancreas kept signaling. Your muscles kept waiting for use. Your blood vessels kept adapting. Your kidneys kept filtering. Even the fatigue you hated may have been information, not punishment. So take a slow breath and picture a different evening. Dinner is simpler. The portion is wiser. You stand up afterward and walk for a few minutes. Water replaces the sugary drink.
Sleep comes earlier.
The next morning, breakfast is built with intention. Over time, the heavy crash begins to loosen its grip. The fog lifts sooner. The fear softens. The body responds because the body is remarkably capable of recovery when given a better pattern. If symptoms happen often, let this be the week you get checked. Let this be the conversation you stop postponing. Let this be the moment you stop calling repeated warning signs normal for my age and start treating them as useful signals you are wise enough to hear. I want you to live fully, not just survive your 60s and 70s, but feel present inside them. Steady, clear, strong enough to enjoy the people you love and the ordinary hours that make a life worth living. So pass this along to someone who gets sleepy after every meal, someone who keeps saying they are just tired, someone whose body may be keeping score in silence. And stay close, because what we cover next may be just as important for protecting your energy, your independence, and your health while there is still time. This is the turning point, when you realize the body is not betraying you for no reason. It is responding to the environment you give it, meal by meal, hour by hour. And because of that, the earlier this changes,